I attended my sister's baby shower and gave her a necklace with our birthstones. She opened it, rolled her eyes, and said, "This looks cheap. Did you get it from a mall kiosk?" Her friend snickered. One whispers, "She always tries so hard." I held back my anger. They didn't know the charm on that necklace held a secret message she was never supposed to see. My name's Nora. I'm 41, divorced, no kids, living in Portland, Oregon. I teach college English and I love quiet things, books, gardens, long walks with headphones in. My life is mostly peaceful, and I've worked hard to get it that way after a divorce 5 years ago that gutted me emotionally and financially. My younger sister, Marin, 36, is, well, she's always been the center of attention. The golden girl. The Instagram-worthy one. She married Tyler, a high-earning tech VP, and she just had her first baby. She's got the Pinterest house, the designer nursery, the maternity photo shoot. If you've met one Marin, you've met them all, polished, perfect, and passive-aggressive as heck when she wants to be. We've never been close. There's always been tension, years of small resentments and emotional potholes we both stepped over without acknowledgement. But I always showed up. Birthdays, holidays, housewarmings, the wedding, her gender reveal, yes, she had one, and now her baby shower. This shower was hosted in our childhood home, technically hers now, since she fought to be the sole inheritor when our parents passed a few years ago. That's a story for another day. She remodeled most of it, but one room, the den, still looks like it did when we were kids. Same old wooden bookcase. Same etched initials on the corner wall. MN+NN, carved with a nail when we were kids. It's been years since we were close. I think I stopped trying around the time she betrayed me. And yeah, that word is accurate, betrayal. Deep, cruel, and silent. She never apologized. She never even acknowledged it. But I did forgive her, at least on the surface. I buried the truth so deep even I forgot it for a while. But not completely. You don't forget something like that. Let me explain. When I was 22, I was dating someone named Nathan. We were serious, talking about apartments, maybe engagement. I was in love. He was a graduate student, brilliant, quiet, kind, or so I thought. He met Marin one Thanksgiving. She was 17, still in high school. I didn't think anything of it. She was bubbly, he was polite. But something shifted after that holiday. Nathan got strange. Distant. Unavailable. Then, a few weeks later, I saw them. Downtown. Laughing together. Holding hands. And when I confronted them, they gaslit the heck out of me. Said it was a misunderstanding, said they were just meeting to talk about ideas for a surprise for me. But it didn't add up. A month later, a mutual friend confirmed they'd been seeing each other, secretly, since that holiday weekend. He left me. She moved on like it never happened. She asked me not to tell our parents. Said she didn't know better. I swallowed it. Literally swallowed the scream that was living in my chest and told myself it wasn't worth blowing up the family over. I let her have her clean slate. But I never forgot. And I never fully trusted her again. Fast forward almost 2 decades. She's married now. To someone else. Pregnant. Living in the house we both grew up in. And despite everything, I still showed up for her baby shower with a small, symbolic gift. A necklace with both our birthstones. Hers and mine. A simple chain, understated. But what she didn't know is that the charm, a tiny gold heart, opened. Inside was a hidden engraving, barely visible without a magnifying glass. We were sisters before we were rivals. Forgiven, but never forgotten. I had it made years ago. I told myself if the moment ever came, if she ever showed even a flicker of remorse, I'd give it to her. As a peace offering. A buried hatchet. A bridge. But instead of kindness, she mocked me. When she unwrapped it, she held it up like she was handling a used tissue. This looks cheap. Did you get it from a mall kiosk? She said, loudly enough for her friends to hear. Her friends giggled. One leaned over to whisper, "She always tries so hard." I smiled. Nodded. Didn't flinch. But inside, I was unraveling. After the party, when she left the room to answer a call, I went into her bedroom, the one we used to share when we were little, and opened the drawer where she kept her jewelry. I knew she'd tossed the necklace in there without even a second thought. I took it. I replaced the heart charm with another one. One with a different message, one I had engraved years ago in secret. A confession. Line by line, it laid out what happened between her and Nathan, dates, places, emotions. Everything. It ended with, "This is who she really is. Ask her." I didn't hear anything for about 2 weeks. Then, I got the call. Marin. Screaming. "You sick bitch. What the heck is wrong with you?" "You opened the charm," I said, quietly. Tyler saw it. He read the whole thing. "Do you know what you've done?" "I told the truth," I said. "You're the one who buried it." I didn't say anything else to her on the phone that day. She hung up before I could. It wasn't a conversation, it was an explosion. After that, radio silence. It wasn't just from her either. Our cousin June, who usually kept tabs on everything happening in the family, started giving me vague, one-word answers when I reached out. The usual group text our aunt started to keep us all close went quiet, then disappeared entirely. I didn't need to be told I'd been cut off. I felt it. At first, I expected the guilt to come. That wave of shame that usually follows when I do something out of character, something not completely me. But it never arrived. Instead, I felt this eerie, heavy calm, like something that had been pressing against my ribs for years had finally gone quiet. A week after the phone call, Tyler emailed me. He didn't ask for clarification. He didn't accuse me of anything. He just thanked me. It was a short message. 5 lines at most. "Nora, I read the engraving. I asked her about it. You were right to tell the truth. I'm sorry that happened to you. I don't think I ever really knew the full picture. Thank you for being honest." Tyler, I didn't reply. What was I supposed to say? "You're welcome for blowing up your marriage?" It wasn't about revenge. Not really. I didn't want her life to fall apart. I just wanted her to see me, really see me, for once. The week after that, I got a text from June. "You really did it, huh? You always were the quiet one. Guess we all underestimated you." No context. No judgment. Just that. It sat on my phone screen like a cracked mirror. Then came the part one didn't expect. One of Marin's friends, Lana, I think, reached out through Facebook Messenger. She'd been at the baby shower. One of the ones who laughed. "Hey, I owe you an apology. That day at the shower. I was a jerk. We all were. I didn't know about what happened with your ex. Marin never mentioned it. She just told us you were weird about gifts and always tried to upstage her. I'm sorry for the way I acted. That necklace was beautiful. I hope you're okay." I didn't know what to do with that. I stared at her message for almost a full hour before responding with a simple, "Thank you for saying that." It's strange, isn't it? The way people show their real faces when they think no one's watching. And stranger still how people suddenly look at you differently when you stop playing the part they've assigned you. I was the quiet one, the one who always tried too hard, the one they laughed at. Now I was something else. Meanwhile, Marin was unraveling. Word began to trickle down through cousins, friends of friends, and people who knew people. Tyler had moved out temporarily. Said he needed space. He hadn't filed for divorce, but he'd stopped posting photos of her, taken husband out of his bios, and changed his profile picture to one of just him and their dog. The baby had been born, healthy, thank God, but Marin was struggling. June said she looked haunted. Aunt Claire said she was going to therapy. No one knew exactly what Tyler was going to do, and Marin refused to talk about it. I didn't reach out. Not because I didn't care. I did. In some twisted, weathered, threadbare way, I still loved my sister. She was my first best friend. My first protector. My first enemy. But I couldn't save her from this. She'd built her life on erasure and image. And now the truth was bleeding through the seams. One night, in late February, I was walking home from a bookstore when I passed a bar downtown. Not a place I ever went into, but I noticed someone sitting near the front window. It was Tyler. Alone. Staring at his phone. Drink untouched. We locked eyes. I almost kept walking, but he raised a hand, a hesitant, polite gesture. I walked in. "Hey," I said, sliding into the seat across from him. He didn't smile. He didn't frown either. "I didn't expect to see you," he said. "But I'm glad you stopped." We didn't talk about Marin right away. Instead, we talked about books. He asked me what I was reading. I told him about a collection of essays I was teaching. Then, after a while, the conversation drifted. "She told me you'd made the whole thing up," he said quietly. I tilted my head. "About Nathan?" He nodded. "I didn't. I know that now." He looked tired. Older. Like a man who'd seen something behind the curtain and wasn't sure how to unsee it. "She's not a bad person," I said. "She just lies to herself. A lot." He ran a hand over his face. "You know what really got me? It wasn't the cheating. I mean, yeah, it's awful. But it was that she never told me. In almost 10 years together, she never even hinted that she'd done something like that. It made me wonder what else she's never told me." I didn't know what to say. So I said nothing. He looked at me again, more directly this time. "I think you saved me a few years of believing in someone who never really existed." We sat there a while longer. Eventually, I paid for my tea and left. He stayed behind. That night, I didn't sleep well. Not because I regretted what I'd done. But because for the first time, I realized that Marin's story might really be ending. Not a symbolic ending. A real one. The one where the golden girl finally runs out of spotlight and has to face herself. And even though part of me had waited years for that, another part of me mourned it. Because underneath everything, the mockery, the betrayal, the silence, she was still my sister. Still the girl I shared bunk beds with. Still the one who braided my hair before school and cried when our dog died. And no matter what she'd done, losing that? It wasn't a victory. It just hurt. The days that followed that accidental bar encounter with Tyler blurred into one another like fogged glass. I didn't know what to do with the heaviness in my chest. I wasn't quite sure if it was guilt, relief, or just emotional residue. I went to work. I graded papers. I had dinner with a friend and nodded along through small talk. But part of me kept waiting for something else to break. About 2 weeks later, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address, but I recognized Marin's handwriting instantly. It wasn't labeled or sealed with anything fancy. Just a plain cream envelope with my name on it. Inside was a folded sheet of lined notebook paper, ripped from a spiral, edges jagged. The handwriting started steady, but by the end, it was uneven. Like she'd written it all in one sitting, without breathing. "Nora, I don't even know how to start this. I've written and torn up 3 different letters. None of them sounded right. I know what I did to you back then was unforgivable. I was 17 and selfish and wanted to prove I could have what you had. I've carried that with me. But I buried it, because it was easier to pretend I hadn't hurt you than to admit I had. And now, because of your necklace, Tyler knows. He's moved out. I don't know if he'll come back. I'm angry. But not just at you. I'm angry at myself. You've always been better than me. Not in the loud, look at me way. in the way that mattered. You kept your dignity. You kept your silence. I laughed at your gift because I didn't want to face what it represented. That I'd hurt you. That you still remembered. I don't know what happens next. But I needed to say this. I'm sorry. No flowery ending. No love, Marin. Just a dash and her initial like she was running out of strength halfway through. I held the letter in my hands for a long time. It was the first time she'd ever said she was sorry. The first time she'd put something in writing that admitted what had happened was real, not just a phantom of my hurt. I didn't respond. Not yet. I carried the letter in my coat pocket for weeks. It felt strange not to write back. I'm the type of person who responds to thank you notes with thank you again notes. But something told me this time I needed to let the silence do the talking. Our cousin June called me a few days later. She rarely called, usually just texts and emojis. But this time she called, voice quiet, like she was afraid I might hang up. She told me, June said. About Nathan. About what happened. I didn't say anything. I didn't know. I don't think anyone did. I didn't tell anyone, I said. I didn't want to. There was a pause on the line. You could have, though. And you didn't. That says something. I think that's the problem, I said softly. I let her bury it for too long. It grew into something it shouldn't have. She's not doing well, Nora. I bit the inside of my cheek. Yeah. I figured. She's asking about you. That made me pause. What do you mean? She wants to know if you're angry. If you hate her. I'm not angry, I said after a while. Not anymore. I just don't know what she wants from me. There was another pause. She doesn't know either. That night, I went back to the old bookshelf in my living room. I pulled out the journal I'd kept during the Nathan years. Tucked inside, between 2 pages filled with heartbreak, was a photograph, me and Marin on the beach, both of us sunburned, laughing like idiots, covered in salt and sand. It must have been the summer I turned 16. We looked like sisters. Real sisters. Not two people orbiting the same bloodline with 1,000 miles of pain between them. I cried. Not the sharp, angry kind of tears. Just slow ones. Quiet ones. The kind that come when you realize something isn't dead, but it's not alive either. A few mornings later, I was leaving the grocery store when I saw her. Marin. She was standing near the cafe window with a paper bag in one hand and her daughter on her hip. She looked different. Softer, somehow. Or maybe I was just seeing her without all the resentment clouding my view. She noticed me. We didn't wave. We didn't walk up to each other. We just stared, for a few seconds too long, like people who shared a dream and forgot the ending. And then she looked down, adjusted the baby's hat, and walked away. I stood there a moment longer. Maybe this was the space between a fracture and a fix. The quiet pause after something breaks, before you decide what to do with the pieces. After that grocery store moment, things shifted in a strange way. We weren't talking. Not directly. But it felt like something unspoken had cracked open between us, like a window that had been stuck for decades finally slid a few inches, letting air into a stale room. I wasn't sure what that meant, but I let it be. I didn't chase it. I didn't reach out. I just kept living. I thought about her more than I wanted to. I thought about that letter. About how fragile her handwriting looked near the end. About the word sorry, how it came too late, and still, somehow, meant something. Not everything. But something. It was early spring when I got the next surprise. Tyler emailed me again. This time, the subject line said, "Would you like to see something?" I hesitated before opening it. Then I clicked. Inside was a single link to a private Google Drive folder. And a note, "I thought you might like to see what came of it. I'm sorry again for everything. I think I see things a lot more clearly now. I opened the folder. Inside were photos. Dozens of them. Scanned pages from Marin's journals. Screenshots of texts. Emails. Voice memos. Pieces of her life that Tyler said he'd uncovered slowly after reading the engraved message. At first, he hadn't believed it. But the more he asked questions, the more inconsistencies he found. And once the illusion cracked, it didn't stop cracking. In one of the voice memos, Marin admitted to keeping secrets, things she'd done in high school, people she'd hurt, truths she'd covered with a smile. I built this whole thing around being the better one, she said. And now I don't even know who I am without it. But Tyler wasn't trying to punish her. That much was clear. He'd started compiling everything because he was planning to leave, but also because he wanted their daughter to grow up knowing truth, not polish. Not image. Not mythology. He'd filed for divorce quietly. No drama. No public mess. He gave her the house, the car, and generous custody terms. But he took something far more valuable with him: control of the narrative. He started a podcast a few months later. It wasn't about Marin directly, it was about emotional manipulation, truth-telling in relationships, the psychology of deception. He never named her. But the undercurrent was there. The podcast took off. It gained traction with listeners who had gone through similar stories. He started speaking at conferences. Got picked up by a mid-sized publishing house. Book deal. Media spots. Marin hated it. I didn't hear that from her directly. But our cousin June told me she can't stand that people respect him now. She said he used the truth as branding. That he monetized her trauma. But here's the thing, it wasn't her trauma. It was mine. And Tyler's. And the others she stepped on along the way. That was the real revenge. Not public humiliation. Not a screaming match or a takedown post. But this slow, undeniable shift of gravity, where the power she'd clung to for years slowly rotated away from her. And me? I didn't join the podcast. I didn't speak publicly. But Tyler asked if he could read my letter, the engraving, the one from the necklace, on an episode. I said yes. It aired in the season finale. He read it slowly. Carefully. Word for word, we were sisters before we were rivals. Forgiven, but never forgotten. That line sparked hundreds of comments. People asking where the quote came from. Some thought it was from a novel. Others thought it was a poem. It wasn't. It was mine. A few months later, Tyler mailed me a copy of his book before it went to print. Inside the front cover, he'd written, "To Nora, for telling the truth, even when no one wanted to hear it. You taught me what real strength looks like." I cried when I read it. The kind of cry that empties you out and fills you back up, both at once. And Marin? We still don't talk much. She sends the occasional holiday card, signed only with her daughter's name. I never know if it's her way of reaching out or just going through the motions. I don't press it. I've moved on, in my own way. Started dating again. Took up pottery. I lead a book club now. We meet in a cafe downtown, and sometimes I bring extra copies of Tyler's book, because people still ask about that quote. No one knows it came from a cheap little necklace meant to hold a broken piece. But I know. And in the quietest, most honest way possible, that's enough.